Welcome to another great moment in time. Olympic Channel taking you inside the mind of an epic gold medal performance seen through the mind's eye of the iconic athlete in their greatest moment. Nadia Comaneci is the most decorated Romanian in its Olympic history. 9 total medals, 5 gold, but it's another common number that she's best known for, the most uncommon number given by judges in gymnastics. Nadia is the first Olympic athlete ever to hit a perfect 10 in one of her routines. She did it at the Olympic Summer Games Montreal in 1976. She was just 14. So forever the first and the youngest gymnast to ever score the perfect 10. Now we're honored to introduce the great Nadia Comaneci from this installment of My Greatest Olympic Moments. Welcome, Nadia.
Hi to everybody. Thank you.
We, of course, all strive for perfection, chasing it, but it's elusive. But you nailed it. So how was that incredible performance? How has that followed you for the rest of your life?
I guess it's still following me now because I'm here talking to you about that moment. Sometimes it feels like has been a long time ago, but sometimes it feels that it didn't go too much time since that Olympics in '76. I look at that moment a little bit different now than when I was 14, because I understand what happened. A lot of things that I didn't know when I was competing because I was very young to understand. Even that moment with the 10 is probably, became a 1.00, which was not a very good score in gymnastics until the confusion, was solved, that the computer, the scoreboard was not ready to accommodate a 10.
That is incredible. And on that note, Nadia, let's go back in time to that epic time. We'll show you some different shots from the film world of that, but this is as it happened back in 1976. Maybe you could walk us through what your mindset was right here.
So this is the routine on the uneven bars, and it was the free exercise, not the compulsory, where I did a very complicated skill, which became the Comaneci salto. That was right at the beginning. And the bars go so fast, and it's really hard to think at every second of what's going on. So I was just hoping that I would hit that routine without going down, basically.
And then as you came over and you met with your team, the crowd obviously enjoying your performance, did you have any inkling that you'd nailed something? That were you waiting for a high 9 score? Expecting that?
I was hoping for a 9.9 score. Usually I don't watch the scoreboard because I was happy that I thought that I did a pretty good routine, but I did not expect to get the ultimate score, which was the history score, as you can see there. And I think I was close to the last one in my team to perform. And I was already thinking about balance beam.
Wow.
So here,
the consummate athlete.
This is the Comaneci salto, and that was the one that I was always had some fear not to do the skill, but I can always mess it up, even though I've done it so many times in training.
So when you get through that fear moment, is there a little inkling of calm in the middle of your routine? Like, okay, I got past that. Now let me finish.
Yeah, for a moment, but I always learned from my coach that you shouldn't be saying that you're done until you actually hit the floor and you land.
Exactly. And then you stick
because
that.
yeah, because many times you pass through the most difficult skill, and if you relax, you mess up the easiest skill. And that happened to me when I was very, very young before the Olympics. So I learned my lesson.
And at what point did it sink in? As you explain again, the computer wasn't programmed to go 1.00. So that's crazy.
Yeah, well, I didn't know what happened with the computer because I only turned my head around because I heard noise in the arena, and I didn't know why people were making that kind of noise. And I realized that it was because the scoreboard was confusing, showing the 1.00. And I looked at my teammates and I said, it's probably a mess up with the computer because I didn't think I was going to get a 1.00.
And so when did it sink in? You obviously have to keep going, but did your coach or did somebody say, hey, you just got a perfect 10?
I think one of my teammates said, I think it's a 10, but something is wrong with the computer. Hopefully they will fix it. But nobody has fixed it.
And then as you went on forward with the perfect 10, when did it really hit you that never been done before, and you'd set a standard like Neil Armstrong walking on the moon? I mean, it is that kind of a moment in the world of sport.
It was, but I didn't know about that until I flew back to Romania, and I saw 10,000 people at the airport.
Another 10? This is a great time because we talked in the run-up to this, in the preparation, the amazing numbers, combinations of 10, your number 073. Walk us through this, because this sort of informs us all that this was meant to be. Obviously, 7 plus 3 equals 10, but tell us the other ways that this came together in that miraculous way.
Yeah, that is, what you don't think about that, and then you're like, was it a coincidence? Was it fate? Was it supposed to be like that? Every time in competition, the teams receive a competition number. So the Romanian team received 6 numbers, and one of them was 73, and that was given to me. And I'm not even sure how this came about because I was really good in math and physical education in school. So it was like 73. Yeah, 7 and 3 is a 10. I got 710, a score of 10 in the Olympics, 3 gold medals, and 7 multiplied with 3 is 21, which happened to be the 21st edition of the Olympic Games in 1976. So what else is there with the 73?
It's incredible. That's one of those statistical things that you can't help believe is no coincidence. Like somehow this was meant to be, but you had to make it happen. Can you talk us through, again, as it sunk in? Did it sink in? I mean, you probably have done other routines where you felt like you nailed it, and maybe you felt like you were even better than that day.
Yeah, actually, although it looks pretty good from the outside.
Yes. You're going to tell us you messed up?
I have done, well, I felt that I have done many times better routines, but it has to do with the way I felt because I was very interested in details. Like, I know everybody does this, but can I do it a little better? And what can I do realistically that I'm capable of? How can I do something that's just a little better than everybody else? And I used to call that the Nadia touch.
Were you, when you headed to Montreal, were you confident that you could win a gold medal? I mean, the Romanian team was very good. The Russians with Olga Korbut were very good, and her teammate. Were you? I mean, I'm sure everybody's confident at your level because you're all superstars in your own competitions. But did you think a medal or the top of the podium was possible?
When the entire Romanian team was leaving for the Montreal Olympics, not only our gymnastic team, but the delegation, I remember that, the news were there and they were doing a couple of interviews with different athletes. And they asked me, what do you think you're going to do at those Olympics? And I said, if I win a gold medal, will be great. I hope to win a gold. I hope to win a medal, and if it's gold, it's going to be great and amazing. So my expectations were kind of there. It's not like I want to win all of them, and I want to score a 10, and I want to make history. No, I didn't go for that because I didn't even know the 10 was not scored yet in Olympics. I did not know that at the time.
So as you moved on from that event, at what point did you become the 10 girl? I mean, it must have been a label. There must have been, I mean, that kind of a performance and that kind of a label doesn't just go away when you're the first. And as you point out, the youngest, and that'll never happen again because the minimum age is older now.
Yeah, a lot of people use, when after in years, with talking about the 10, when somebody was doing anything really good, not necessarily in sport, they said, I did a Nadia. So that became the word that everybody's looking for. So it's good because it meant that I've done the best that I could do in anything that I was working on.
So how did you celebrate? What guilty pleasure was it, like ice cream, or like what was the celebration when you got back to the village? Was there any celebration? I know you guys are all focused on events and it's the next event, but what was there any kind of wow,
No,
I did this?
no, that there was no celebration until we finished with the entire Olympic Games. The celebration happened when we got home. We were all celebrated, and we landed in Bucharest, and there was a big celebration for the entire team. And then we went to Onești because I was living there. That's where I was training during that time. And then there was, so that's about 2.5 hours drive from Bucharest to Onești. And in every little city, which were many cities that we passed through, there were people on the street, lined up on the freeway on both sides with flowers all the way for 2.5 hours. And we had to stop in every city to go to the mayor, the mayor of the city. They had the celebration. So that 2.5 hours became like maybe 7 or 8 hours
all
on
day.
the way back.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, those are incredible memories. We're seeing some never before. This is film shot from all angles around the event. What memories does this bring back for you as you see yourself at 14, and not necessarily just on the 10, but just going through your routines with your teammates in the Olympic venue? Does this get any adrenaline pumping? Do you want to go out and do some work now?
Yeah. Actually, what we see now, I haven't seen before, because this is the warm-up for the balance beam, because I can see that I do something and I run around and I come back, because we all had 30 seconds to be on the balance beam for a warm-up before you're supposed to compete. So I can see how I run around and I do see, I'm like moving out. It's not quite perfect what I do because I had to rush, but I was happy that I could do a touch up just to see
Sure.
how it is, because
Your ankle is taped.
Yeah,
You
my
you
ankle is
weren't that
taped.
injured, but you were hurting a little.
I'll actually, there was no social media, so people didn't know what everybody else was doing home.
Yeah.
But I was preparing for the Olympics a difficult, it was a double back on a floor exercise, which was quite difficult at the time
Mm-hmm.
in the 70s for women. I think I've done my first one in the American Cup, which was in March, and the Olympics were in July. And I landed short, like 2 weeks before the Olympics. So I kind of sprained my ankle, and that was a bonus skill. I already had enough difficult skills, but I wanted to do like me, always more.
Sure.
So I sprained my ankle, and it was hurting a little bit. So I had to tape it really hard every day of the competition. But nobody knew about the fact that I taped it because I landed short, and I didn't do the double back somersault at those games.
But adrenaline helps you in this event, right? I mean, in the competition, adrenaline takes care of the pain of the ankle, but you know somewhere you're not 100%.
Yeah, I was not 100%, but uh, right, every time when I was competing, my coach was putting some kind of lotion there that was so hot that I didn't even feel the pain. There was more pain coming from how hot the thing that was.
This is your friend, the coach, right? The friendly coach
Yeah,
putting you through pain.
Bella, yes, yes.
Right. And now, as you look back at yourself, it must be, again, we talked about it when we first started, but to see yourself doing this must stir so many emotions in you.
Um, it does, because when I look at this, I realize that every little thing that happened to my life, where I was born, the decisions that my parents made to sign me up to gymnastics, the the passion and the love that I had
Yes.
for this, not knowing how far this is going to take me, um, and what a life and what an experience I had because of that moment, a moment that could have gone very wrong if I would have messed up.
And there it is. Um, what was the
That's
reunion with your?
that's 090.
Yep.
So that must be Nelly Kim on vault, because I
Right.
think she scored a 10
Oh, okay.
after
On the
me.
other, after you, on the vault.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
What was the reaction like when you, with your parents, when you got home after all this, when you had a chance to exhale, and as you so well articulated your appreciation for what what doors they opened for you? What was that reunion like? I imagine there were tears.
I couldn't even find my parents on the airport when I arrived because there were so many people pushing each other. And I remember I had a doll because I was collecting dolls, and everybody was trying to get close to us and touch us like we were some kind of rock and roll famous band. And somehow I lost that doll, and that was the only thing that I care about. Where is my doll? Somebody needs to find my doll.
Yeah, never mind the gold medal or
Forget
medals.
about that. Yeah, they were. I had them over my neck because when we are supposed to land, our coaches and the delegation that they were with us at the Olympics, they said everybody should wear the medals because we will have a lot of people waiting at the airport. So the doll was here. The medals couldn't go away because they were right around my neck.
And when you finally reunited with your parents?
There was, I haven't seen them in maybe 2 weeks. So it was really nice to be with them. And I could see that there was a lot of interest of all the neighbors around, they wanted to see where is this 14-year-old live. And all the kids were like, they kind of wanted to be me. They wanted to know how I did it. I started to see kids like turning cartwheels in the front of the place where I was living. So there was a big, boom of going upside down around my neighborhood.
How did you react to being now not just Nadia Comaneci, the Romanian gymnast who was, world class, but now you're a role model? At 14, that doesn't even compute. That means nothing. But as you became older in your teenage years, did it hit you that, wow, I can help people, or I can guide them either in your training or in how you live your life?
Well, though I didn't stop after those Olympics because I
No.
was young enough to
Sure.
continue to go to the Moscow Olympic Games in 1980. But just going around and competing and having the opportunity to meet a lot of people, they were crying when they were meeting me, and they said they wanted to be like me.
Here are your
I
medals.
inspi-
This is an amazing moment.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but anytime I'm talking to somebody who's getting a gold medal, I defer.
Yeah, and I think that the gentleman who gave me the medal, it was the Romanian, was the IOC member, Mr. Shiperko. I think right there I
You
was
remember this
thinking, I
moment?
wonder,
Yeah.
yeah, I was thinking home. I was hoping that my mom is watching this because it was at 2 in the morning in Romania when the Olympics happened. So I was like, they must be asleep. They're not going to watch this. But they did.
Of course they did. And then you're going to turn and listen and hear your national anthem. Again, one of those moments. There's Olga Korbut, of course, of the
Yes.
Soviet Union, a star in her own right. But as you turn to hear your anthem,
You just think about home. But home doesn't necessarily mean only your parents, but everybody who has been a part of this. I don't think I realized the boom of what happened there. I thought there was a big deal, but I didn't think there was such a big deal. But now when I look at that and I see, we have a 14-year-old, and now I realize what does it mean to be 14 to go to the Olympics, because then
yes.
I was
Right.
14,
I was
but
about to ask you that,
I was 14 there, but I was in gymnastics for 8 years. So I consider myself a veteran in the sport. So I knew what I was doing. When we talk about gymnastics, I'm not sure that anything else around I knew what I was doing, but that thing I knew what I was doing.
Certainly. You've written some books, and I wanted to run a couple of quotes by you. One that, there's many good ones, but you said in one of your books, "I don't run away from a challenge because I am afraid. Instead, I run towards it because the only way to escape fear is to trample it beneath your foot." I love that.
Well, when I read this now, it sounds very philosophical, and I'm not that. I'm more direct. Probably has to do with the fact that I was always wanted to break barriers in learning skills that they have not been done before, and it's when you want to do that, you have a couple of boxes, the yes, 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 and no, no, no. And if that's more yeses and less nos, then I go for it. If there is a little bit of fear, I'm trying to understand, why am I afraid of, and then go by every little thing and realized that I shouldn't be afraid of that because I'm ready to do it. So I eliminate those little details because I understand a little bit the skill and I know that I'm prepared to do it. But but when I open the door and I go for it, I just go for it. I never close the door. You know what I mean? I close the door behind me and not in the middle of it because that's the way that my personality is. And even if it's wrong, I still learn something from it. But most of the time was right.
Mm-hmm. Those are great words for any of us who face challenges. We all have things we go through, and I have another one. Friend, no one ever accomplishes your dreams for you, regardless of tears, fits, or any other means of manipulation. They can give you ideas and direction, but in the end, you have to do it alone. You must figure out your own destination and the best route to get there because no one else knows the way.
Yeah, well, you have good people around you, and that starts with parents, from where you learn a lot of things. And I think the first years of education are very important. Then you are surrounded by people who know sports and they know gymnastics, and you learn other things from them. But then you starting to apply it to yourself because even though everybody wants to go to the same direction and go to the top, there are different ways that everybody can apply to because we're not the same. So what works for somebody is not going to work for me.
And my last thought before we bring your husband, the great Bart Conner, in to serenade us in our goodbye,
Bart.
I just want to know, not yet, because my final question is just,
okay.
if you stand by.
Stand by.
Advice you might have for young athletes, not just gymnasts, but there's so many challenges in this world. But advice you would have is maybe you give your own son, how to navigate the difficulties of high-end sports and life and studies and all the important things that our young people face.
I think you have to navigate day by day and moment by moment. I think that it's good to have a purpose and a goal, but opportunities, the fact that you can see a lot of people that have accomplished things in their own way, it's mostly discover what you love and do something in that domain, but choose to be the best in what you do, and to be happy, and to understand that it takes time, and to enjoy day by day what you learn, because the road is not always straight. You may go, to the side, and that you learn. I call it experience. And you get you make mistakes to understand that you made a mistake to make things better. We have a saying in Romanian. I hope I'm going to translate it the right way.
Well, say it in Romanian first, and then translate it, because I want to hear you speak some of your native tongue here.
Okay, so I will translate it after. Când te arzi cu supă, sufli și în iaurt. That means it's when you learn from mistakes. The translation is when you get burned with the soup, because the soup is too hot, you blow even in yogurt.
That is well done. Okay, now it is officially time to bring in your husband, the American gold medal gymnast, Bart Conner, who's going to give us a little serenade out the door, and I'm anxious to hear this.
Okay. I'm not sure what he's going to sing, but he did a handstand.
Well, that's a 10 from my judge. Okay. That is a 10.
Don't you love Nadia's sayings?
Don't you love my sayings?
We do.
My favorite one
Nadia,
is not every dog has a bagel on his tail.
I saw that. I like that. That's a good one, too. Well, Nadia and Bart, thank you so much for walking us through that iconic Olympic moment, your iconic Olympic moment. The first and youngest perfect 10 in Olympic history. Thank you.
Thank you.
For all you've done for the Olympic movement.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you soon to the next games.